The Finals is an awesome destructive PvP game I ended up enjoying way more than I thought I would. So today I'm giving you my best 15 tips and tricks for new players to start beating the other team right away. Number 1, move teammates before reviving and stop throwing them. I think most players know by now that you can move your teammates' dead bodies tokens around in order to take them to a better location before reviving them, which by the way you should pretty much always be doing. However, I see a lot of players literally full force chucking their teammates' bodies, which can potentially lead to big mistakes. Don't just throw your teammate's body like you would with a canister. Hit the weapon swap button and you'll safely just drop them wherever you're standing. Then revive them somewhere safe and get back in the fight. Number 2, abuse in-game audio. Footstep audio in the Finals is very hearable, and I like to make sure other audio is noticeably lower than SFX so I can hear enemy footsteps at all times and get a better idea of when they're nearby. Besides, might want to lower the announcers anyway because they're cringy as hell. Number 3, maximize other settings. As long as you're fiddling with in-game settings, here's some other important stuff to go tweak. First, your FOV. I like to go max all the way up to 100 to see more of the area around me, but whatever number feels better to you. Second, your sprint and slide settings. Set it up in whatever way you want so that sliding is easy to do mid-combat and doesn't trip you up. Third, your sensitivity settings so you don't feel like you're whiffing your shots a lot in combat. Only tweak that if you need to. And fourth, your crosshair, which you can customize to make it easier for you to see on the screen. My crosshair settings are below if you want to copy them or just make whatever works for you. But before we get any further, we got to talk about protection. No, not that. Well, I mean, kinda like that, but for your PC, because today's video is sponsored by NordVPN, so why don't we thank them real quick. Firing up your PC without the proper protection is like jumping into a shark tank with flank steak tied all over your body. Enter NordVPN. With protection against things like DDoS attacks, phishing, malware, ransomware, and more, it's no wonder why so many people turn to NordVPN. Enjoy features like the NordPass password manager. It'll keep your passwords close at hand even when you're offline, making your digital life easier and safer. Nord doesn't track or share what you do online. Your traffic is always protected with only the most baller encryption. Their threat protection shields you effortlessly from malware and trackers so you can have peace of mind when you're online. And the best part of all, there's 24/7 customer support to help you whenever you need it and a 30-day money-back guarantee for all users. You quite literally have nothing to lose. Don't wait, hit up the link in the video description or head over to nordvpn.com/falloutplaysvpn to get access to an exclusive deal today. Also get 4 months extra when you buy a 2-year plan. Again, hit up my link to check that out. Thank you, NordVPN. Alright, we back. Tip number 4, break ziplines and ladders. Almost everything in the Finals is destructible. Obviously, that makes the game very fun, but some key things to prioritize destroying are often things that your opponent might find useful in getting to you. You can destroy ziplines or ladders fairly easy by shooting or straight up meleeing them. You may not make it impossible for enemies to get to you, but making their life harder even a little bit movement-wise is usually a good idea. Number 5, staying together is so much stronger than you realize. Flanking and sneak attacking from different angles is always fun, but I've learned that by simply staying near your teammates, you have a big advantage over your enemies. Being way out of position makes it so much easier for you to get gunned down, and when that happens, it can cause a huge domino effect, potentially leading in a dumb team wipe that could have been prevented. Especially if you have a medium on your team using the absurdly OP heal beam, you can completely tear other teams apart by simply staying together and team shooting. Yeah, you can try to flank if you want to, but only do that in really specific situations. For the most part though, stay together, team shoot, and watch how easily you roll over other teams. Number 6, don't sleep on goo. Goo is criminally slept on and is a really fun area denial tool. I've used goo literally in the middle of engagements to completely trip up the enemy, and it works more often than you'd think. Use it to block off doorways or cash out locations, or again, just to throw at enemies to trip them up in a fight. If you have the goo gun, you can straight up make your own bridges and makeshift ladders, allowing you to get some much needed verticality with the heavy. Number 7, fire can go through walls. A lot of people don't know this, but yeah, just what I said. Fire can damage people through walls and floors or ceilings. This can be handy if you're directly below a cash out location that you feel is about to be used by an enemy team or a bunch of other situations. Fire can also burn for way longer than you think just because it can spread to other flammable objects nearby like plants or trees to keep the fire going. Fire is also incredibly good at removing any goo on the field. If you want, you can intentionally use goo and fire together, i.e. goo up a room or area, and then when the enemies show up, light all the goo on fire at once. Number 8, 8. Win by not engaging. If you're playing tournament mode, every time your entire team gets wiped, you will lose 30% of however much money you've earned so far. Meaning that if your team gets overly aggressive and starts to engage other teams for no reason, you can straight up lose the game by team wiping and losing your lead. Don't go and camp like a bitch, obviously, but if you're in a situation where maybe one person on your team is left alive and you have the lead with very little time left before respawning, tell them to peace the F out so they don't go do something dumb and give up the lead that you worked so hard to get. Know when to push together and know when to retreat before a wipe or not engage at all near the end of a game to hold on to your score and advance. Number 9, make nukes and other stuff. In addition to throwing canisters, a lot of other things in the game can be picked up and thrown. You just gotta look for the little glowy blue outline thing. Attaching stuff to things before throwing them is something you should fiddle with. For example, you can attach the Heavy's C4 to a canister and throw it, then remotely detonate for a big explosion. This can lead to some incredibly lethal plays that really can take another team wildly off guard. There's a bunch more stuff you can do. Go feel free to experiment with putting stuff on things and holding it. Number 10, you can charge while stealing. Here's one from Reddit. Shout out to users staring at plants. You can apparently use the heavy charge while stealing. This definitely will not come into play all the time, but it absolutely could save your life in the right situation. Number 11, don't know where to start? Go medium. I will die on the hill that out of every class, medium is both the easiest to learn and the most helpful class to have on any given team. The default AK is a really good starter weapon, and as mentioned earlier, the healing beam is stupidly powerful when used properly, which is not hard to do. For situations where you want to play defensively and guard a cash out, the Guardian turret is also banging, and the defibrillator paddles can literally sway a team fight in your favor in the blink of an eye. Again, just an extremely versatile class that fits well onto virtually any team and a great starting point. Number 12, you can steal through walls. This is very dependent on the area, I've found, but certain cash out locations can literally be stolen through walls or floors, as shown in this clip from Reddit user ProDickyBird. Heavies obviously won't be able to do this. Sorry for you big chonkers out there. Number 13, trap deposit spots. If you're in a situation where you really need to protect a cash out and play defensively, trap the F out of that location. Gas mines, goo grenades, pyro grenades, turrets, breach charges, C4, doesn't matter what, just don't ignore your defensive options. They're there for a reason, and you can make life miserable for another team who's desperately trying to swoop in at the last minute and steal your cash out. Number 14, you can move camera and ping while dead. I usually find that the combat in the finals is almost too fast-paced to take advantage of the ping system. That being said, I always use it when I'm playing solo. Telling teammates where y'all want to go is kind of vital to making sure everyone keeps staying together. But keep in mind, you can keep using the ping system even when you're dead, and you can even move the camera around. This is huge for communicating as a solo player or if you don't have a microphone, and you should absolutely take advantage of it whenever you can. Ping a particular enemy, ping a certain location, a bunch of money, anything. Just make sure you're using it. Number 15, Camo is borderline OP. For those who are relatively new to the finals and maybe want to dabble around a little bit, the cloaking device on the light is insanely good at the time of me publishing today's video. Invisible lights are brutal to deal with. There is a sound cue to help you know when they're using it, but with how fast it recharges and how good it is at hiding people in combat, you can really take people by surprise and destroy with guns like the XP54 or the SH1900 shotgun if they're not expecting it. Yeah, you have less health as a light, but it's such a strong ability right now, give it a whirl. If you have any other tips or tricks you've been using, feel free to share them with your fellow new players down in the comment section. Don't forget to check me out on stream and let me know if you enjoyed today's content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.